Hello Mayhem Makers, welcome to our first video tutorial. I'm Mindy with Quilting Mayhem, and today I'm going to show you how to do a simple pillowcase using the Burrito Method. So this is what your pillowcase will look like in the end. It will have a cuff, a trim, and a body. And for you guys stuck at home, especially with little ones, we have made all kinds of awesome kits available on our website. Just look for our Sweet Dreams pillowcase kits and they will be available. You can pick and choose your style. Just let us know. We have all different colors, themes ready for you. We'll ship it to you. It'll come with instructions, and then you'll have this video to come back to watch and learn how to do it in your own home. So we're going to start with the basic beginning of the assembly. You're going to have your cuff, which is generally 1/3 of a yard. You'll have a trim, and I do my trim at 2 inches, and then I fold it in half and iron it with what they call the right sides out. So you want the color fabric on the outside, and then you're gonna have the main body, which generally we use 3/4 of a yard for our pillowcase body. So you're going to assemble it in what we call a burrito. And I have one ready for you here. All right, so to begin your burrito method, you're gonna start with your cuff, your 1/3 yard, facing right side up. We're going to be working down the length of the fabric, so you're 40 to 42 inches. We're going to have all exposed with the right side up. You're then going to take that trim, that 2 inches that you have ironed with the wrong sides together, and lay it right sides down with your raw edges lined up like this. Then your body of your fabric, your 3/4 of a yard, you're gonna lay it right side down. So take that print and lay it and match raw edges. If your print fabric is directional, you wanna make sure that what I would call the top side of your fabric is facing towards your trim and your cuff, or your right side up, so that when your pillowcase is together, your cuff and the body of the fabric are all going the way you want it to go. I then clip these, and I have these awesome little wonder clips together. You take the main body and you're going to roll it in, and so this is kind of the inside of your burrito, and you're not going to clip anything else. So you do not want any other edges lining up with your raw edges. You want it loose in there and far enough down that you're not going to catch it when you sew it. You then take the rest of your cuff. That's what you're going to come and line up your raw edges and clip all those guys together, or pin, whatever you have available. I like these clips because they manage all these layers of seams really well. They don't bend like some pins try to do. So I just take my little wonder clips and put together this burrito, and I just kind of keep going all the way down until I get to the other end. And a lot of times when I get in there, I like to make sure it's stuffed in there, and I give it a little shake and I stuff it down there because I really don't want the main part of my pillowcase getting caught in there. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm working on my wonderful Bernina 790. I have it set up with my 97, my 1/4 inch foot. I have a regular straight stitch set for this, and I actually just do a regular 1/4 inch seam. Some people like to do a little bit thicker, so you could do anywhere from 1/4 inch all the way up to 5/8 if you're a little worried, but I just use my basic 1/4 inch with my regular stitch length of a 2.5, and then I'm just going to sew this entire burrito all the way down. All right, so now we have our burrito sewn, and we're gonna pull it out. So you're just gonna start pulling it and flipping it. And that seam, as you will see, will actually tuck inside the cuff, and you'll have your magic happen. You just keep pulling it out until it's all the way out. And you'll see you have a cuff, a trim, and the main body. And that is the magic of the first part of the burrito. Some people do like to go and do a top stitch along the edge. I don't really bother with it. I just make sure I go iron it so that the trim is facing towards the body and the cuff is nice and flat towards the top. I will then go, after I iron it, And I like just to trim a straight edge unless I happen to have a magical serger, and then I just sew without bothering and trimming. But in this point, I go and I will clean up my edges and line up and cut off the excess so it's nice and straight. All right, so we've trimmed our edge, it's nice and clean, we're ready to do our final seams. I'm gonna teach you the method to do what's called a French seam, and that's where we're actually gonna sew the fabric in two different seams. We're gonna sew them actually with the wrong sides together, which seems opposite of what you think, but then we're gonna reverse it and sew the seams the other way, so the edges are actually gonna be enclosed and not be against the inside of the pillow. It'll be a nice pretty seam. What I do is I clip just where the trim meets to try to keep it even. The rest of it I leave and I don't bother pinning. It'll just kind of match up as I sew. I'm going to just sew down the long side and the short side, and then we're gonna reverse it. So, off to the sewing machine. Okay, so as you can see, I did a 1/4 inch seam just down the side, down here. I do go and just trim off the little corner so that when we flip it, we don't have any extra bulk in there. And normally I use scissors, but rotor cutter is what I have available. That's what I'm gonna use. What I then do is take the pillowcase and we're gonna turn it inside out. If you have a stiletto, like this lovely OESD easy point tool, I use the bigger end and I like to kind of press the corner out so we have a nice point, and that's why I like to trim those two corners that I have sewn so we can kind of get it nice and pretty. Okay, if you're so inclined, you may want to press it just to make sure you have a nice edge again. And then we're gonna sew that same two sides that we just did. We're gonna sew a 5/8 seam. So we're gonna sew it a little bigger because you wanna make sure that that 1/4 inch seam that you just sewed gets all the way inside and doesn't show or stick out. So I'm gonna go give this a good press, and then I'm gonna sew my 5/8 seam. All right, now you've done your 5/8 seam. It has enclosed that original 1/4 inch seam, so now you have nothing exposed, and it makes this wonderful finished pillowcase in 5 straight seams. So, you too can do this at home. You can do it with your kids to help them learn a nice basic sewing skill, and they can make a custom pillowcase just for them. Thanks for joining us today.